Senate acts to restore sanity in assemblies. The affected counties have been Homa Bay, Nairobi, Kakamega, Nyandarua, Kisumu, and you've seen the MCAs fighting each other. There is a claim here that it has been observed that the probable causes of these hostilities are greed for the control of power, or greed for the control and misappropriation of money to counties through uncalled for and unnecessary trips so as to earn allowances by MCAs. That's according to Kinyua, who was speaking yesterday. So the question I want to ask you, Mheshimiwa Kirwa and Atandi, yes, according to Martha Wangari, the first set of county assemblies, the main challenge was they lacked capacity and they didn't know how to separate the budgets for the executive and the assembly. But now those issues have been resolved. Now what we are seeing is these fights every other day, impeaching speakers, fighting the speakers. How do we really live through these times and ensure that the primary goal of devolution succeeds with these assemblies and with this set of county governments? Yeah,
I would summarize it that is leadership, the Kenyan style. Kenyan style in the sense that in Kenya, when you get into position of leadership, and position of leadership does not mean an election. Even somebody like you, Sam, from the village where you come from, you are seen to be a leader, an opinion leader. And therefore, after a certain period of time, people will ask themselves, what did Sam do when he was in Citizen? They want to see you not in terms of your performance here at the station. They want to see you in terms of what have you taken home. Have you built a bigger house than the one you left in the village? Or do you drive a car other than the one that they knew much earlier in life? So that is where the rain started beating us. And it confirms it's confirmed by what Mheshimiwa Wangari has said, that the resources now have gone to the county assembly, separate from the resources of the executive. What does it mean? You've seen less of impeachment of the governors. Now the impeachment has gone to the speakers, because it's the speaker who is now the custodian of the money. And therefore, we need this money.
So they're following the money?
They are following the money. It is not about leadership. It's not about Wanjiku. It is about the money. I want to get this money. I want to expand. If I had 5 acres in my village in Kitale, I want to own 7 acres. If I had a miserable house, I want to improve it. And I want to show people that I'm different from them. So that is where the problem is. It is lack of leadership. And this is something that we copy, even from the national government. There are people who have been in national government for the last 4 years or so, and they own what is not conceivable, even in their lifetime. Even if you are to be earning 10 million shillings a month, it is not conceivable. And people copy. You know, people don't learn, they copy. And MCAs are copying from the village. They may want even to own a chopper. So these are some of the problems that stem from the very way that we lead this country.
So how do we stop them, Mheshimiwa Atandi? They're going for the money. How do you stop them?
Let me say that from where I sit, I think the fight in county assemblies, most of them is all local politics. And in the fight for resources. You know, speakers have been wielding overbearing powers over MCAs. And especially in the area of resources. So I think the MCAs are, and they're taking advantage of maybe the ignorance of MCAs on their fundamental rights and their responsibilities in the assemblies. So the MCAs are coming out and they're saying, we think we know our rights, now we want to deal with the speakers. So fundamentally, I think the issue is, if you talk about those ones in my region, like Homa Bay, it's largely local politics, which can be sorted out. But I also think that the model of the way MCAs are elected and their responsibilities and the people who the expectations of the voters is also putting a lot of strain on the MCAs in the area of finances.
How should we elect them?
So I think it needs to be clear that an MCA is not supposed to participate in development activities, because that's where the problem is. You find an MCA is asked to attend a rambase. Where does he get the money? And his salaries cannot accommodate. So I think there's a way in which I don't know what we need to do with the expectations and the way their MCAs are. They're all the people expect them to do.
Do you go for rambase?
I don't go for rambase.
Oh.
You don't?
Yes. Yeah, then you are lucky.
I do actually.
Where do you get your money?
I do where I can, you know. Just as a person, as a person, because you do this thing. Some of you, even yourself, I'm sure you attend Harambes, but you're not elected.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is really a personal decision, and you can only give what you have. So what I do is that I don't strain. What I don't have, I don't have, and I'll give what I have. But I would want to disagree a bit with the Honorable Atandi in terms of how the MCAs are elected or the speakers of a bearing, because the role of the speaker is very clear. Even in the National Assembly is to chaperone and be, you know, to take leadership of the House. And what we need to do, and I think the Senate is something they can pick up. If you ask me, the speakers are not given the right to be heard. You know, you're just hounded out. There is no law that actually stipulates really how you're supposed to be removed. I think we need to relook at that, not just to protect speakers, but to give them the right to be heard. The same way we do for governors. That if you're impeached, you have some process, you can get your attorney, you can get your lawyer to actually act on your behalf, you respond to the issues. There is a process, so that it's not just malice. That the speaker, I don't like the way you gave the trip to wherever, so I just get you out of office and we are sworn in outside there. And I think what we need to deal with, that a law should be able to be put in place. But the issue of the behavior we are seeing, and we have seen it in National Assembly, it's not really just about the county assemblies. We have seen the unruly behavior even in the National Assembly. And we have seen county assemblies try to take even the maize. You know, when we bow, and if you look at the way the legislature is in the Commonwealth, is that we bow to the maize. Not even to the speaker. If you pick the maize, you actually bring the dignity of that house to the floor. It is at the lowest. So I think we also need to educate ourselves in terms of capacity building, that we can disagree with the speaker. It is normal, but the way we disagree with the speaker is not by getting her out of the office or him out of the office and taking the maize. It is following the procedure that you want to impeach you can take signatures and go to a process that is defined by law to get you out.
Here, if you wanted to impeach your speaker, the National Assembly,
Yeah.
what is the procedure like and what protects him?
In fact, it's a vote of no confidence, and it will have to be signed. We have to have, I think, not less than 2/3 of the members agree. So there's a threshold
And
of
you
how
have to give notice.
and you have to give a notice in good time.
In good time.
Somewhere I say that the speakers are overbearing,
Right.
is because I know some county assemblies I'm familiar with, where the speakers have put themselves in a position where they are above the law. And the MCAs, because of their level of respect they have for the speaker, the speaker, some speakers have ended up abusing their responsibilities. I will give you an example of some of the activities that some speakers have been involved in. And the MCAs are now saying that because the speaker is the one that was involved in betraying some of our standing orders, now let us just use manual means, you know, to get them out. So I think the issue is, because what they are using is actually manual, you know, because if you saw the way the Speaker of the Nairobi County Assembly was removed,
Even Homa Bay, even Nyandarua.
A standing order was amended on the floor of the House and used immediately to impeach her.
And it shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen like that. So I think the speakers should not take advantage of the ignorance of MCAs on a number of areas, to the extent that they lord over the MCAs. And the MCAs, some of the MCAs I meet, they are cowed, you know. They are even timid. They even fear the speaker. When the speaker comes in, they think that the president has come in. Yet the
I
speaker
think it's the other way around.
They are boss of the speaker.
The speakers
I am
fear the
happy
MCA.
now they are coming out. You see this, until recently, when they started employing and this underhand tactics to get the speakers out, that is when the speakers now have begun to fear them. Otherwise, the speaker did not fear the MCAs before.
I think the legal regime needs to be improved, and also the procedure. You know, like for Parliament, for the time I was there, you cannot amend standing orders and use in the same house. Even the current Parliament now, if they were to amend standing orders, they will freeze them for the next Parliament.
And that is expressed in the standing orders.
Yeah,
It is in the law.
it's in the law.
It's in the standing order.
Yes. So you are not supposed to, let's say, it's like being in a game of football. In the middle of it, you say penalty
Change
is
the
now,
game.
9 meters.
That's right.
Yeah. You cannot change and you use them.
So for these counties with their standing orders,
Yeah.
are they just following what is done at the National Parliament, that is
In
Senate
fact,
and the county and the National Assembly, or are they using different principles
In
to say
fact-
that you can amend a standing order and utilize
In
it.
fact, you know, this being a new model,
Yeah.
the standing orders for the counties were largely borrowed from the National Assembly
Yeah.
and how it is applied. And in any case where there is no express or it's not explicit stated in the standing orders, they would apply the precedents in the National Assembly.
That's true.
And you see, that is how it should be. You don't just manufacture, you know, and just start using it. It's not right. And I
Yeah.
think the Senate should be able to rein on that, to ensure that the ones that are not expressly stated in the standing order, especially what happened in Nairobi County, should be able to actually be put properly in all the counties to be able to apply the way National Assembly does. The things we have changed this 12th Parliament, we amended the standing orders 11th Parliament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Speaker John Kagusha from Nyeri says that in fact speakers are the ones intimidated by MCAs.
I thought so, because you can be
Resources.
removed anytime. You can be removed anytime. Not due process. You're not even given a hearing. So if I were a county speaker, I would fear the MCAs, not the other way around.
Yes.